Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel, Taylor Talks Tales. Today I have a book review for you. This is on a book I read last month and really enjoyed, and I've just been wanting to talk about this book on this channel because I think a lot of my subscribers will enjoy this book. And it is Kill Creek by Scott Thomas. So I'm going to read the inside flap and we're going to get right on into this review because it was a very fun and entertaining read. At the end of a dark prairie road, nearly forgotten in the Kansas countryside, is the Finch house. For years it has remained empty, overgrown, abandoned. Soon the door will be opened for the first time in decades. But something is waiting, lurking in the shadows, anxious to meet its new guests. When best-selling horror author Sam McGarver is invited to spend Halloween night in one of the world's most infamous haunted houses, he reluctantly agrees. At least he won't be alone. Joining him are three other masters of the macabre, writers who have helped shape modern horror. But what begins as a simple publicity stunt will become a fight for survival. The entity they have awakened will follow them, torment them, threatening to make them a part of the bloody legacy of Kill Creek. So this book, it was published in 2017, and I can't believe it's taken me this long to get to this book. I know that it had been hyped up, not a whole lot, but in certain communities, and I know on Goodreads there are quite a few people who are really talking about this book, and I know Amazon sold quite a few copies, and a couple of my friends had recommended this, and so I had this on my radar and really wanted to read it, especially because it's a haunted house story, and it involved Halloween, and it just was very intriguing sounding to me. But for whatever reason, I put it off. I don't know if it's because I was worried about being too hyped or worried that it was not going to be unique enough, because I've read quite a few haunted house stories, or I don't know, there's just something that kept distracting me from picking this book up. But I finally got around to it last month, and I wish I'd read it sooner because I really enjoyed this book a lot. I think not just horror fans, but especially horror literature fans are going to really enjoy this book, especially with the four authors. I think the four authors, those characters, really bring a lot to this book. They were my favorite part, I think, even though the plot is really interesting. The haunted house aspect has a very unique spin to it that I really enjoyed quite a bit. It's definitely not your basic haunted house story. It brings a lot more to it, and I appreciated that a lot. But I think I loved the four authors the most. So you have Sam McGarver. He's sort of I would say he's the main character. It's mostly told from his point of view. I mean, everything's in third person, but it's mostly told from his perspective. And he's sort of this, like, Midwest kind of guy. He's the guy you would go out for beer with. He has a lot of his stories have to do with, like, a evil in a small town type of situation. And it's a very relatable type of novel, and he's, pretty successful. And then you have T.C. Moore, where some of it's told from her perspective. She is the only female author, and she writes very extreme horror, and it involves a lot of, like, graphic sexual stuff, and she gets a lot of crap for it, and you kind of follow her and sort of see sort of the sexism and the prejudice that she has to face by being a female author, especially one who writes extreme and erotic horror. And then you have Daniel Slaughter. He is this sort of like a young adult teen author with a very Christian bent to it. So a lot of his horror stories have, like, a very moralistic and Christian approach to it. And then the last author is Sebastian Cole, who kind of reminded me a little bit. I think he's supposed to be sort of like a Stephen King / Ray Bradbury / Lovecraft type author. And he's sort of the best-selling author that the other three authors, like, aspire to be. He's like this grandfather type character. And what's really interesting is that I feel like there are elements of different horror authors in each of the authors, but there are no blatant ripoffs of any of them, where it's like, oh yeah, this, like the small town guy, Sam McGarver could have some elements of Stephen King to him, and then, like, T.C. Moore, she could be like an Anya Alborn or a Karen Slaughter, or there's just, like, so many different elements into them, but they're also their own unique people, which I think was really neat, and I just loved seeing them interact with each other, and they felt very real to me. There was a lot of development and backstory put into them, especially with Sam. He has quite a bit of baggage in his past and has a lot of demons to deal with, and just seeing them come into this house and then interact with the main host of the show that they're doing in order to get some money and publicity, which the guy's name is Wainwright, and he has a girlfriend named Kate. And so it's pretty much the 6 of them go to Kill Creek and do the show on, Halloween night. And it's pretty much like this interview, and all 4 of the authors were a little bit reluctant to do it, but they all have their own reasons for doing it. And then things go from there. And I will say this book is the type of book where it starts off a little on the slow side. There's a lot of build up happening, so if you're the type of reader who just wants to be sucked into action right away, this may not be the best one for you, because it does take a good chunk of time to get everything set up. I never was bored. I thought it was very gripping for me, and I was really interested in the characters from the beginning. And even from the first couple of chapters, there's this one chapter I really liked from the very beginning where Sam, he's also a professor at, I think, the University of Kansas, or one of the schools in Kansas, because he's from Kansas, and he's just doing this really interesting lecture on like gothic horror and horror fiction, and what's really cool is there are elements from that lecture that play out through the whole book, and I really liked that a lot. So that was really neat, and of course the whole house itself was really neat. I'm not going to give anything away because I think you should just go into this not knowing really what is up with the house, and it also has creepy imagery and these 2 ladies that are on the cover of the book, which I really appreciate this cover. I think it's a really nice cover. Just fits the book and the story very well. And their backstory's, kind of interesting. And I loved the ending. And the whole time reading this, I just feel like it would make a really good either miniseries or movie if it was like a slightly longer movie and they really developed it, because it's very cinematic. It feels like even horror movie fans who don't read a whole lot of horror fiction will still be able to enjoy this as well. So I think horror fiction lovers, this is just right up your alley, but if you also are a horror movie fan who's sort of wanting to read a little bit more, then this would be a good choice as well, because it's just, very visual and just very exciting, and when the plot gets going, it really gets going. So I recommend this for pretty much anyone who's looking for a good, enjoyable horror novel. I didn't really find too many things, any complaints really. There's just like 1 or 2 things that were left sort of open-ended, but that's okay. I think everything that was important was resolved. So, and then you can kind of debate about like some symbolism and some other things going on with the book. So I recommend this a lot. 5 out of 5 stars. Please go check it out. It's very gripping, and yeah. So let me know what you thought about this book, if you've read this book, or if you plan on reading it, let me know if you're planning on reading it, and that's pretty much it. I also want to let all of my subscribers know I am filming on a new type of camera, so let me know if you like it, or, I'm always open to feedback, and I'm probably going to have to start editing my videos a little bit more. My old camera died, so going forward, I'm going to try out this new camera until I can save up for a better quality camera. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, rate, and subscribe, and I hope you have an awesome day. And don't forget that my giveaway ends this Saturday, so if you haven't already, go to my April TBR video where I also announced my giveaway, and just follow the instructions on there and you can enter. So thank you so much, and have an awesome evening. Happy reading.